everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I'm very excited because I have an author chat with Janice Cantore to share with you today. So, we're talking about her book, Edge of Truth, which is a romantic suspense novel. It's Christian fiction and it's a standalone story. And it's also a brand new release. So, I recorded a solo episode on the book, which is episode 53. And if you haven't listened to episode 53, feel free to pause the video or audio file that you're listening to now and go back and listen to that episode to give you some more information on the book. Otherwise, stay tuned for our lovely chat. And there's a paperback giveaway that we have for the book as well. I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. So here's our chat with Janice Cantore. Welcome, Janice Cantore.
Hello.
It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Good to meet you.
Yes, and I'm glad that you can come because we're going to be chatting about your book. But before we start talking about your book, I'm going to read your bio to my listeners. So here we go. A former Long Beach, California police officer of 22 years, Janice Cantore worked a variety of assignments, including patrol, administration, juvenile investigations, and training. She's always enjoyed writing and published two short articles on faith at work for Cop and Christ and Today's Christian Woman before tackling novels. She now lives in Hawaii, where she enjoys ocean swimming, golfing, spending time on the beach, and going on long walks with her Labrador retriever, Tilly. Janice writes suspense novels designed to keep readers engrossed and leave them inspired. She has penned more than a dozen novels, including the Line of Duty series, the Cold Case Justice series, and several standalones. So, welcome to our podcast and YouTube channel. So, I'm going to start with my icebreaker questions. So, my first question is: have you visited Australia?
Yes, I got to visit Australia. I think it was probably 2004, maybe 2005 with my brother and his wife. We visited Sydney for a little over a
Oh,
week. Had
mm-hmm.
so much fun riding the ferries. Oh my gosh, yeah. It was a
Yes.
blast.
Did you go to Manly on the ferry? Do you remember if you did
No,
that?
I don't
Yeah.
remember that. I do remember we got to see a play at the Opera House, which was
Okay.
awesome. It was on the history
Yeah.
of Australia and it was
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up on the northern beaches in Sydney. So the Manly Ferry, which is the famous ferry that most tourists will end up on, that goes past the
Mhm.
heads in the harbour, is probably where you visited if you're on a ferry. So how cool
Okay.
is that? Well, it's so good to hear that you visited us. And then you live in Hawaii, which is a place I love visiting as well, which is really cool. So speaking of that, why don't we talk about a fun fact from your part of the world? So you can either choose Hawaii or you can pick something in your book setting.
Fun fact. How about the fact that our volcano is very active at the moment?
Oh,
It's been going off quite regularly. In fact, they've even been able to more or less determine when it's going to go crazy. It hasn't been doing a lava flow, but it's been doing a lot of lava fountains.
oh,
So there's a YouTube channel that's 24/7 dedicated to watching the activity at the volcano. It's pretty
okay.
awesome.
Yeah, so can you see that from where you are, like the
No, I
activity?
can't. I can't see Kilauea, but a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years ago when Mauna Loa was active, I could see that, and I actually have some really good pictures from the top of my street of seeing the glow at night. It was
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
Wow, that's just, it sounds awesome as long as you're not in the path of the volcano if it
Yeah.
does decide to do its big
Yeah.
blow.
Yeah,
But
that
that,
would be a
yeah,
bad thing.
a very bad thing. And the technology is amazing. I'm always amazed by how the scientists can work it out almost down to the minute on when they expect something's changing with what's going on with the volcano and it's going to activate, which is good for safety reasons because you really don't want to be in the path of it. But otherwise, Hawaii is gorgeous.
Yes.
And so today we're talking about your book, Edge of Truth. So let's hear from you out of your mouth how you would actually describe the book if you were to randomly meet me in the street and I asked, what's your book about?
It's a book about police work, good police work, and it's also a book about relationships and about faith. All of my books, usually the faith theme has to do with what I'm going through at the moment, sometimes not, but usually. But it's about someone who's kind of let her faith lapse and she's wandered
Mm,
away, she's let the world in. And that happens to all of us, I think, in
yeah,
our faith walks there. And so anyway, but it's crisis that brings her back, which usually happens. But and then the recognition that um no matter what happens in your life, what tragedy, what good thing, whatever, it's always God, the God's hand is always in it, the providence of God. And so, but the face on that is, of course, Lainey's journey through her sister missing and then actually
yeah,
meeting Ben, who also has somebody missing. So they have this common thing going on where they're both missing important people in their lives. His faith is a lot stronger than hers is. But
mm,
then you get to see her grow through discovering, you know, the bad guy in the story and that whole journey through the twists and turns of the novel. So,
yeah, yes. And
and
I
of course,
absolutely.
I'm sorry, I have to give a spoiler alert. I'm a happy ending person, so there's always a happy ending. But
Well, it's a romance. Romantic suspense has to have a happy ending, or you'll have all your readers ready to lynch you. It's all good. We're
that's
happy to hear that there's a happy ending. And I absolutely love this novel. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And in my solo episode, I talked about being a bit resentful that my life intervened with I had to keep putting it down to
good.
do things. And I'm like, I don't want to put this book down. I want to know what happens. So
Well,
anyway,
that is what every author wants to hear.
yeah.
That certainly is my goal is to make you want to keep turning pages.
Well, you were very successfully succeeded in that. Absolutely. So let's start. I'll start with my questions where we're going to talk about the book and do a bit of a deeper dive into some of the things in the story that caught my attention. And we will do this without giving away spoilers. I'm very big on not giving away spoilers. So we only talk about
Okay.
what's happened in the past and probably what's happening in the first like 10 to 15% of the book. So we'll start with the prologue. So the prologue introduces a cold case murder going back 15 years when Laney was a rookie police officer. So, why is Laney haunted by the unsolved murder? And also, how has this cold case impacted her personal and professional life?
Well, because there's no resolution is why she's haunted. When I was writing that scene, I was thinking about the very first time I went to a murder when I was still in training. And I didn't really do anything. I was in training, but the whole idea
Mm,
of just being somebody whose life had been violently ended really left an impression on me. Um, not enough to make me want to be a homicide detective because that would just wasn't I'm not gifted in that area. But anyway, that was what was in the back of my mind when I was writing this. And so here she finds this poor dead woman, and there's no closure for her as to why did this happen and who did it. And so, yeah, that would
mm,
haunt me too. A couple of things. Most murders are solved, thankfully,
mm-hmm.
but the ones that aren't are definitely because you want closure for the family. You want closure
Yeah.
for the people now. So, yeah, that's why.
Yeah. It must be. I can't imagine being in law enforcement and having to do the job that you guys have done. It's just awesome. And it's such a hard job. I think I'm too much of a softie. I'm too empathetic. I think I'd be a disaster. I definitely would not be gifted to do that. But Lainey was really walking a hard journey from that point, and it was really interesting to see just how that one incident that happened on a very ordinary night just had such a massive impact on her life. And led to a whole lot of stuff happening that we hear about in the story. So that will
Well,
bring us, yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but there's also the whole idea because it has to do with her faith and it intersects her faith. I was very naive when I was hired. And you have this the bad people should be caught. The bad people should be put
Hmm.
away. That should be important to God. And it is, but it's not always on our timetable.
Yeah.
So that was another thing working in with her. It's like, why God? I mean, that whole thing. So Sorry for the interruption, but
No,
go ahead.
no, no, you're more than welcome to interrupt me. Absolutely fine. We're having a lovely chat. And the other thing that I think what was also really hard is that she kind of knew who was responsible, sort of, if that makes sense. And is that worse to have an idea, like, 'cause you could come across a murder and there's just no clues. It's a completely cold case. There's no suspects that are obvious, or every suspect's been investigated intensely and has been cleared. But for a situation where she's got a reasonable idea of who she suspects may have been behind it, I think that would be a very stressful thing. The
It,
frustration of that.
it is because you figure they go on and they live their lives. Like if you ever watch
Yeah.
cold case stories where it's 35 years before they catch someone, it's like, well, he's led his whole life and he stopped
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah.
And another thing that happened when I was still working is one time I did actually catch a murderer. He actually turned himself into me. And it was something that played out like on TV. I was working the front desk um, at the police station, and we were listening to the radio, and a 911 call went out where there was a domestic disturbance, and this man had drug his girlfriend out into into the alleyway, and he was beating her, and he ended up killing her in in the alleyway, and we could hear all this on the radio, and then so all the police cars are going to the alleyway, and when they get there, he's gone. Well, he came to the police station and he turned himself in. I was the one that he turned himself into. He handed me the gun and he said, I just did a murder. So, I mean, and I was a rookie at the time, which was part of the reason why I was at the front desk. And so the
Yeah.
whole idea of bringing him back and handcuffing him, and that was like huge. And here's the
Mm.
thing, he was arrested, he copped a plea, and he was out 6 years later.
Wow.
And
That's,
yeah, so
oh,
that was a hard one too, because
yeah.
it wasn't like, I mean, there had been a history of domestic violence, so it wasn't like it was a spur of the moment thing. And so there's a lot that we kind of have to deal with, and we have to reconcile with the fact that even though we think they get away with it, the Lord knows that they never do.
Yeah.
So, but
And just,
anyway,
yeah. And justice that doesn't feel like justice, if that makes sense.
no,
So there
yeah,
were,
exactly.
yeah, there's a result, but it's not necessarily the result that, you know, a reasonable person would consider fair, considering someone's life was taken. It's just, yeah.
Mhm,
As I said, I have great admiration for law enforcement people because it's
mhm,
such a hard job. So, anyway, let's move on to my next question where we're talking about the missing people in the book. So, at the start of the story, Lainey is a police detective and her sister is missing because we've moved 15 years ahead of where the prologue is. So,
mhm.
Ben, who's our hero in the book, is an FBI agent in a similar situation. His partner and good friend is undercover and also missing. So and their cases kind of interact. So I talked about the meet cute in my solo episode, which was a bit tense because these missing people may have a connection, is where we start the story from. So, what unique challenges do they face as they navigate work situations involving people they care about?
Well, a lot of it has to do with, well, first of all, they're both people that they care about. So technically, if they were officially investigating, they wouldn't be able to, right? She wouldn't be able to investigate her sister's missing, and he wouldn't be able to investigate his partner's missing. So, so that was kind of a tight wire to walk. I try to
Mm.
be as realistically as I can, but there are times when I bend the rules. I bend the perception. I think that was one of them because it was kind of a situation where it really wouldn't happen. But you know what? You got to have a novel, and so
Mm-hmm.
this stuff, and so and they each have their own demons regarding the
Mm-hmm.
love that's missing, and yeah, I don't want to say anything to wreck the resolution. That's kind of
Yeah.
where my mind is going to the end, and
Yeah.
I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
So, if we were in the real world and weren't in the fictional world, so her sister's missing, even if it's in the same police department area, she'd be completely frozen out of hearing information and completely sidelined. Is
She'd
that
be
what
able
would
to,
happen?
she'd probably hear information, but she would be sidelined from doing anything officially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, if it was her department, she'd be sidelined doing anything officially. And she'd probably, Yeah, which is wise, actually, when you think about it, because your
Mm,
emotions get the better of you. So, and that's the last thing you want in an investigation, especially a death investigation. You really don't,
mm.
which is why I could never be a homicide investigator, is because everything has to be, you can't, nothing can be taken personally, and you can't have, you have to have a certain amount of empathy, but you can't have so much that it's going to cloud your judgment. So,
Yeah,
you,
absolutely. I
you
would
have to be able
fail.
to, what is the word, compartmentalize? You have to be really good
Yeah.
at compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I would be a
So,
disaster. It's not something I would pursue as a job at all. I'd be hopeless. I'd be too busy getting upset and crying. I'm the sympathetic crier. I can go to a funeral of someone I hardly know and still cry. So I'm not the person to be a homicide detective. And I suppose with the FBI investigation, that was tricky because his
yeah.
partner, it was a work situation related to a case, but his partner was also a trusted good friend. And I always find it interesting with when we read the law enforcement characters, how there's these really strong friendships that grow from, I imagine, from all the stressful situations that they and the stuff they go through together. They really bond quite closely.
Yeah. Especially if
Yeah.
it's people that you can trust. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you learn you have to trust people. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, because if you don't trust your partner, then you're not going to get the job done. Although it would be terrible to have that trust betrayed as well. But I'm getting completely sidetracked. So we'll move on to, I always get sidetracked. Anyway, we'll move on to my next question. So we're going to talk about the faith elements in the story. So the story includes justice and forgiveness themes, and Lainey is blindsided by someone who betrayed her in a big way. And so, how do Lainey and Ben reconcile God and faith with the injustice they see in their jobs, particularly when in Lainey's situation, the injustice is very close to home in terms of the portrayal, without saying what actually happens.
Well, her thing is kind of just to walk away, to not to distance herself from faith
Hmm.
is what she thinks. Like, like you can hide from God. Yeah, you can't really. But that's her. A lot of people are like that too. I've known people in my life that have done that. And then they come back and
Mm,
they realize, wow, you know, he never moved and he always knows where I am. So anyway, but
mm,
that's hers. But there comes a point, especially in a tense situation, where there's no place to move. There's no place to walk away. There's no more,
mm,
you have no more room to slide. And I think that's where she finds herself at the end. Ben, on the other hand, was more grounded in his faith. Um, so it was easier for him to even
mm.
help her a little bit because
Yep.
which was good for her. She needed that. She needed somebody outside the family. A lot of times you don't listen to your family. Like I'm sure she never listened to her sister.
Yeah.
So, so
Yeah.
anyway,
And
so
that
that's
was
kind
such, yeah. Sorry.
go ahead. That's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was such a complex family as well. And it's really interesting. As soon as I start seeing characters that look really perfect, I'm sitting there thinking, I wonder what's lurking beneath the surface because no one has a perfect family.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so that was really interesting. I found the family dynamics were quite fascinating in how they all played out and how the different family members reacted in different ways to what was going on. That was also very insightful and made me think a bit too.
Cool. I'm glad that worked for you.
Yes, no, the faith journey. And it was really good to see that on the page. Like this one, as I said, I would describe as having strong faith elements where we actually see the characters wrestling with some really big stuff and
Mhm.
really wrestling with God, particularly Lainey. Ben had his struggles because of the circumstances he was dealing with his partner. But Lainey in particular really was wrestling with whether she could, it was almost like she didn't want to let God back in again. It was quite interesting. Yeah, in terms of trusting him, I just really appreciated how it played out. So, is there anything that you'd like to share with our listeners today that we haven't covered?
Um, this is the first book that I really tried to place a little bit of it here in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time placing books here, mostly because I could never do place the police here really. Only because the culture is different, is way different than what I worked in and what
Mm-hmm.
I'm used. I love it here, and I've read some great stories that are set here. But anyway, that was my first attempt to basically set a portion of a book here. Really,
Yeah, I suppose
that's
Hawaii
something.
is Hawaii more like small town policing in a sense. I suppose it depends on what island you're on as well. I mean,
Yeah,
Honolulu would be more like LA, I imagine.
yeah. Honolulu is more like LA, and that's what people
Yep.
are familiar with. People are familiar with Hawaii 5 and all that
Yep.
stuff. No, it is. It's very different here. It's very different in the way they don't even use police cars. They have their personal cars and they just put a little blue light on top.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, it's very different. So, some of the problems are the same. I mean, I think every municipality has a problem with drugs and homelessness
Yep.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, but there are other issues. I mean, like stuff that happens in the ocean, and
Yeah.
so, so anyway,
Yes.
so that was my. So I hope it worked. The book I'm working on now, I'm doing kind of the same sort of thing with
Mm-hmm.
setting the beginning in Hawaii, not as involved, but I'm trying to use more. I love it here, and I would really love. But there's a part of me that thinks I could never impart everything that I love about this place in a novel. I mean, I would love for that to come through. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens with the book I'm working on now.
Cool. So that's your next book. I'll jump ahead. So when is that one coming out? Your next book is that 2027?
Yeah, yeah, it'll be next year.
Excellent. So, Edge of Truth, we're recording this in advance, but this episode's actually dropping the day before it releases, which is really exciting that your book's out
Oh, thank you.
tomorrow.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's very
Uh-huh.
exciting. So, where can readers find Edge of Truth?
They should be able to get it anywhere you can get a book. On
Yep.
my website, I have all the buttons for all the people that sell novels. Yeah.
Retailers. Excellent.
Yeah.
And so you've got paperback, you've got ebook, you've got an audio book as well.
I think there will be an audiobook. I'm not sure. Usually it comes out a little bit later, and
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't gotten any notification from Tyndale, but I think there will be one. Yeah.
Excellent. And so readers can find you at your website. Is there anywhere else online that you hang out where they can discover you as well?
Yeah, I'm on a Facebook page with four other
Mm-hmm.
authors, Dan Mills, and I'm Haley Bridgman. Oh, I'm so bad. Lynette Eason
Yep.
and gosh, I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names. Anyway, we're the Suspense team, the Suspense A team.
Oh,
And
cool.
I'm on Facebook and you can find us under that Suspense A
Yeah.
team.
Excellent. So there'll be a link from your Facebook page so that readers can find that as well. So I'm looking forward to reading your next book. It's very exciting that you've got the new release coming out next year. And so it's just the beginning of the story in Hawaii, or do you think you'll have a little bit more in this next book?
I'll have to see how it develops. I'm a pantser. I
Mm.
don't outline much to my, sometimes I think I make it harder for myself. I just have to write and see how the story goes. So we'll see.
Oh, there's no right way to write a novel. I think we're all
Thank
different in how we write. So thank you so much for visiting with
you.
us and visiting
It's
with our
wonderful to meet
listeners.
you.
It was lovely to meet
Wonderful.
you as well, and you enjoy your lovely sunny weather in Hawaii. I'm very jealous. I love visiting Hawaii. It's such a gorgeous part of the world.
It
Okay,
is.
thank you, Janice. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining me today for my chat with the lovely Janice Cantore. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we have a giveaway, a paperback copy of Edge of Truth, and the giveaway closes on February 25th, USA West Coast time. To enter the giveaway, there'll be a link in the show notes that will take you through to the giveaway entry information. And as always, if you've liked this episode, please don't forget to subscribe. And you can do that at YouTube or your favorite podcasting app. And then you won't miss an episode and you'll find out when my next episode drops. And you can also contact me, and you can do that at my website. And there'll be a link to the contact form, and that's at narelleatkins.com. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can also send me a text via a link at the show notes. If you're watching at YouTube, you can like the episode at YouTube and also leave a comment at YouTube. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please share the link with a friend, especially a friend who likes reading suspense and romantic suspense novels, and also a friend who you think would enjoy reading Janice's books or listening to the audiobook. So thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.